So in the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, on the average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, it equates to more than 10 million women and men. So as you can see, even there, they're talking about it's not just a female, but it is a male thing as well. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men are abused. You'll find that domestic violence happens in married situations as well as those that are single. You will find that domestic violence occur. And sometimes I think in marriage is a little more easily hidden because most of the time you go into a marriage with trust. And you go into a marriage because this is someone you feel like could be your lifelong partner. So a lot of times you hide those things because you don't want the world to know that your relationship is not that perfect relationship. So you'll hide it. I can't say it's always the case, but a lot of times it is hidden because who wants someone to know that their spouse is beating on them or their spouse is degrading them or putting them down? So most often they'll cover it up in any way possible to make the relationship seem much better than what it is. And we see a lot of that on social media and just through the display that people do when they're out in the public. And it's one of those things, you never know what's going on behind someone's door. So I think it occurs in both. It's just it's hidden more, I think, in the married couple than it is in the single couple. There is abuse in male victims of intimate partnerships, but many times I think domestic violence is hidden men because they feel shame because society expects a man to be tough. So for him to have a woman to beat on him or to do things to stalk him, to intimidate him in any way, a lot of times they feel like they're less than a man if they were to report that. I mean, think about it. If the average man, they may talk about football, but they're not going to talk about, okay, my wife or my intimate partner abuses me. Because what is the man going to say to him? Are you serious, man? You better do this and you better do that. They're not going to say, okay, well, you need to leave that abusive situation. That's abuse. We should take it just as seriously because even in those situations, it can escalate to a point that a harm is caused. So I think in every situation, every circumstance should be taken seriously no matter who it is, male or female. And that can be a male on a male, a female on a female, a male and a female, a parent and a child. It's even recorded that abuse happens later in life, domestic abuse. There's gender-based violence in rural communities where people are protesting against others. There is domestic violence in various communities. There's domestic violence and the impact it has on children. It's not one particular race or socioeconomic status that goes with domestic violence because it can happen in any level or anybody. And sometimes we put a label on those lower income or background when it's not that. It's important that there's awareness around it all year long. There are many resources available on a state as well as a local level. Yes, there's the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and that is available 24/7 in over 200 languages. The number is 800-797-7233, or you can even text 88788. There's also availability for you to chat as well as to go on their official website, www.hotline.org. In addition to the domestic violence hotline, the national hotline, there are state agencies such as in Florida, they have the Harbor House of Central Florida. There is the Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence. There is Better Help, which talks about domestic violence. You can also find the National Domestic Violence Hotline on Facebook. You have the Illinois Domestic Violence Victim Services. You have in Washington, the Washington State Coalition Against Domestic Violence. You have the Women in Distress, which is also available. City of Orlando, that has the Domestic Violence City of Orlando, and each city should have this as well. Miami-Dade County has the Domestic Violence Assistance in Dade County. The Virginia Department of Social Services has the domestic violence area within it. The Women Against Abuse in Philadelphia has the Domestic Violence Hotline. The New York City.gov has the domestic violence and gender-based violence support. In Hawaii, they have the Social Service Domestic Violence Resource. Kansas City has the Kansas City Police Department, which has the Domestic Violence Assistance. Pennsylvania has the Coalition Against Domestic Violence.